right, this is going to be a quick video for Josh, Alex, and Sammy about some of our animals here at David's house in Chorlotynsk, Ukraine. So Grandma's going to teach you a little bit about what we do with our birds, and we're going to start with chickens. So some of our chickens are really old, they're not laying a lot of eggs, and normally we would buy a bunch of 1 week, 2 week old chicks at the open markets. We call them bazaars. But because of the quarantine, they've been closed, and some of the other places that we could buy them from are closed as well. So we talked about it, and we bought an incubator for 200 chicken eggs, or less if we're going to use goose or turkey duck eggs, because they're a little bit bigger. And so what we've done is we've gone around to a couple people in the village, and we've asked them if they had eggs that we could buy from them. And of course they have to be fertilized eggs. The rooster has to be there. And so we won't know if they're fertilized until about 6 or 7 days into the process. Okay, so what I'm doing today is we got about 60 eggs from one of our neighbors, and I'm going through and inspecting them right now to see which ones have good form, not too big, not too small, and not too dirty. So I take some of them, and I don't know if you could see this here, where this is a little bit dirty. Yeah, so it's got a little bit of the chicken poo on it. So what I do is right here I have a bowl of water that I just kind of sit it in. We can't really rub it and wash it because it has a protective coating around the egg to protect it from bacteria. So I looked on the internet and I saw how people did this, and they just soak it in water a little bit and then kind of scrape it off, but not rubbing it, you know, like with a washcloth or something. And then I set them over here to the side. So one of the other things I'm doing is taking all the eggs out of the bucket here, and a lot of them are already clean. You know, they're not so dirty. And we don't want to put dirty eggs inside of the incubator because it's nice and warm and wet there, and the germs will grow and could make the babies sick and kill them before they're even born. So that's why we kind of inspect them. So here I'm just kind of taking a look at them. They're just a little bit dirty. You know, they sit on the ground. But most of them look like they're really good. So we need just over 100. One of our trays in the incubator holds 100 eggs, chicken eggs, because they're smaller. So we're going to put in as many as we can. And after 6 days, we're going to hold them up to a light, and we can start to see the chicken growing in there. If we don't see the chicken, then it's probably an egg that's not been fertilized, something went wrong, and so it's not going to grow, and we'll take those eggs out. Yeah. So as I go through these, just kind of get them as clean as I can. It looks like all the ones she gave me are really good form. None of them are too big or too small. We're also looking for that they're kind of big on one end and small on the other, you know, like this. You see how it's a little bit bigger up here and smaller here? Yeah. So now I've just got a couple of eggs here, and if I can't get them clean, then what we'll do is we'll put them in the refrigerator, and then we'll eat them, because of course whether they're dirty on the outside or not doesn't affect when we go to eat them. So, but most of them, if you just leave it in the water for a minute, it comes off really quick. And so one of the other steps that I've learned about is that you spray it down with a combination of hydrogen peroxide and water. And one of the things that does is it also will clean and kill all the bacteria that might be in the poo on the outside or the dirt. But also the oxygen, which is a component in hydrogen peroxide, goes and it helps put oxygen into the egg, because as the little baby develops on the bigger end, there's like a little pocket of air in there. And so when they get older, that's where they're going to start to breathe from, is that there. So when we store the eggs, we have to store them pointing end down. And when we put them into the incubator, we'll do the same. And in the incubator, they kind of rock back and forth, which is a natural movement than a chicken or a turkey or a goose is going to do. They kind of move their eggs around, because if it sits in one position, then the baby is just growing here, and it gets stuck, you know, and it can't move around like it needs to be, and it's going to die that way. So the birds very naturally move their eggs around so that, you know, the babies don't get stuck. So it looks like all of them are pretty clean. So let me move this stuff here so you can see all the eggs. This is my first kind of instructional video, so Grandma's kind of new at this. She doesn't have as much experience as you guys do with that kind of stuff. So, yeah, all the eggs here look really good. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them sit and dry for a while, and once they're dry, then I'll take the hydrogen peroxide and water and I'll spray them all on one side, and then I'll roll them over and spray them on the other side and let them air dry. And then what we'll do is we'll store them in this, I can't think of the English word, tub, this big bowl. We're going to store them standing up on the tips, and we'll take them down to our cellar. And in the cellar, it's kind of cool, but it's not as cold as the refrigerator. You can put them in the refrigerator, but I'm going to put them down in the cellar. And they'll stay kind of cool because we don't want to activate the growing process yet. And on the 20th of May, we'll take all these chicken eggs and some other ones that we've gotten, and we'll put them in the incubator on the top tray, and on the second tray there's a little bit of space there, and we'll put the chicken's eggs there. Now we already have turkey duck and geese eggs inside of the incubator, and so they have to sit in the incubator for 28 days. Chicken eggs only need 21 days. So what we'll do is we've got the goose eggs and the turkey duck eggs sitting in the incubator already, and when it counts down to day 21 out of 28, you know, because we count down, not up, then we'll open up the incubator and we'll examine all the geese eggs and all the turkey duck's eggs, and the ones that don't have a baby growing we'll take out. And then we're going to put all the chicken eggs in there. And so they'll all sit in the incubator for another 6 days, maybe 8 days, and then we'll take them out and we put them over the big, it's called candling. And we don't use a candle anymore, we just use a very powerful light. And you should be able to see the veins and the baby starting to form in there. And so the ones that have that baby we'll keep in the incubator, and we'll take the ones out that are not. And usually it's about a 20% or not, because you just don't know if the rooster has fertilized them or if the male goose has fertilized it, you know, those kind of things, until it's in the incubator. And I've watched a lot of internet shows, and it's kind of like most of it is about 50% to 60% of your eggs will hatch. It just kind of depends on how you take care of them. And I read about the hydrogen peroxide in the water. You know, the hydrogen peroxide, we actually got it from America and we sent it here in a box. They do have it here, but it really helps the eggs, you know. So I didn't do it with the goose eggs and the turkey duck eggs because I hadn't seen that video yet. And once I saw a video that talked about it, I investigated quite a bit more about what to do. So we'll let these dry and we'll spray them down, and then we'll store them the pointy tip down, and then do a second layer, and we'll get them down into the cellar. And on the 20th of May, I'll do another video for you as we put them into the incubator and we check the geese eggs and the turkey duck eggs. But let's go take a look at the incubator. We have it out on our big veranda, and it can hold like 72 goose eggs or 200 chicken eggs. That's the big difference between them. Okay, so here is our incubator, and this is our top one, which is empty right now. And then down here, these smaller ones in the front are the turkey duck eggs. And then if you look in the back, you see the darker, bigger ones. Yeah, those are the goose eggs, and they're really big. Now, they're a little bit dirty because we pulled them out of there after the geese had been sitting on them for a while. But some people say you don't have to clean the eggs before you put them in. Some people say they're dirty when the bird sits on them, you know, so why not be dirty in the incubator? So we're trying kind of half and half. So over here on the incubator, we have a panel, and this number right here is about the humidity. They need humidity to keep them kind of moist, and it needs to be between 55 and 60% humidity. So we have 58%. And this right here is the temperature, 38. It's in Celsius. Best is 37.9. So this is at 38. So the lights went out. You see, I got a little bit darker, and it's going to want the temperature to drop. And then here is 350 minutes until these trays are going to rotate. They go back and forth like this. Remember to keep those eggs moving so the babies don't get stuck in the shell. And so if these get too high or if they get too low, the alarm is going to go off. And it'll stay at 50 to 60% humidity and 37.9 plus or minus in Celsius until the last 3 days. And that's why we put the chicken eggs in later than the turkey duck eggs and the goose eggs, because the last 3 days, all of them, we have to increase the humidity to 80%. Now we can't have that much humidity while they're in the incubator in the beginning stage, because it would give them too much water and the baby chicks would die, they would drown. But in the last 3 days, when they start to hatch and break out of their shell, the humidity makes the shell very soft, and therefore they can get out of the shell. And a lot of times what the ducks will do is they go swimming and in their bottoms, you know, the underside of them is wet, and they sit down on the eggs. Geese tend to be away from their eggs more during the day, and so they're much stronger, hardier kind of bird. Chickens are much weaker, yeah. And of course the turkey ducks, it's a combination of turkey and duck. They kind of have the body of a duck, but they have some really good meat like a turkey, because duck meat is real oily, yeah. So here we have a plug that runs down to a jar here, and there's a little pump in here. And up here, this senses when it needs more humidity, and this little pump will pump water into the tube here that comes in here to this little tray. And it evaporates from there. Yeah, so it has to be very strictly controlled when it comes to the humidity and the temperature. Yeah. So kind of cool. And we've got it sitting up on blocks, blocks of wood here. Yeah, I don't know if you can see them, because the water has to be 15 centimeters lower, and this is the only way we could get it done. We tried the water down here very, very low, but it didn't work, you know. So that's our process for now. I need to go finish the eggs, let them dry, and I'll spray them on each side and let them dry again, and we'll put them back down in the cellar. And then on May 20th, when we go to check these eggs to see if they're fertilized eggs, and we put all the chicken eggs in, maybe I'll do another video for you and you'll get to see some of that. So on the side here, Grandma did a plan right here. So here you can see this is the day of the month, the 13th of May, which is day 28 for the goose. And then it goes down in the number of days. So here on May 30th, that means we only have 11 days left. This is the chickens, and we have to wait for May 20th and on the 21st day, and then we put the chicken eggs in. And this right here tells us the temperature in Fahrenheit and Celsius and what the percentage of humidity needs to be. And you see down here where it turns yellow, then the humidity has to really jump up to 80%, and the temperature will stay about the same. It might go a little bit lower, just agrees. So we've got this plan on the side of the, on the side of the incubator to kind of help us as we watch. Yeah, so again, the next biggest date is going to be May 20th. All right? So if you have any questions, talk to your mom and she can send them to me, and I'll try and give you the answers the next time we do a video. And probably in a week we'll do a video on the rabbits, because we've got 2 mama rabbits now with babies. They're kind of hidden away and it's kind of cool, so we don't want to touch them yet. And we can't really see them, but once they start to move around, I'll do a video for you. And we've got some geese and turkey ducks sitting on eggs right now. But this Saturday, we're getting 40 little chicks that are going to be broilers. They're for meat, so they get really big for meat. And then we're going to get 40 of those, and then 20 of the egg-laying chicks. finally one of the stores opened up and we were able to get some of that. So on Saturday we'll add those and we'll do another video for you. And Grandpa will be in the video as well, okay? So make sure you ask your mom if you got any questions to pass those on, and we can answer them for you, okay? Love you guys so much. And I'm also going to share this with Charlie, May, and Sophia. And I'm going to send a copy to Aunt Wendy so that she can share with her boys, Tristan, Trevor, and Shelton, okay? So hi to all of you guys. We love you. And we just want to share a little bit of our life. And, you know, this is really good since you're out of school. This is kind of a little bit of teaching, grandma style. All right. Bye, guys.